What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to do with you guys. This is the, and forgive me if I mispronounce it, Tepe Designs Hornet. A bunch of people in the comment section were trying to help me with my pronunciation of that, and I probably still failed you, so I'm really, really sorry. Very interesting knife. I have a lot to say about it as usual. Before we get into it, just wanted to say thank you to Harry or Shaker MT down in the comments section. He has been providing a lot of content for this channel. He is my only Mythic Knight on Patreon, so he supports from multiple different ways. He's supporting this channel, and he graciously and for no reason donated this knife to the channel. He's done that before, and he never expects anything in return. He just does it. So thank you, Harry. That again was just way too nice of you, and much like with Jeff, I'm unsure exactly how to reciprocate properly. So I just wanted to say thank you. And as usual, that will not affect the review. I will still give my honest opinions about this knife. But just wanted to let you guys know that. So let's go ahead and move into the review. Overall length of the Hornet coming in at almost exactly, in fact, I think it actually is maybe let's call it 7.9 inches overall. The blade length from tip to scale, you're looking at, in places it's 3.5, in other places it's about 3.6, and then the actual cutting edge is exactly 3.5 inches. So we have a magnificent blade to handle ratio for those of you who really like to really like knives that have a ratio like that. How about some size comparisons up against the Ontario Rat Model 1? Rat 1 coming in at 8.6 inches overall, so you can see not quite as big as the Rat 1, but definitely not a small knife either. How about up against the Spyderco PM2? PM2 coming in at 8.3 inches overall. How about up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue? Ritter Hogue coming in at 8 inches overall. Actually, this is a fantastic size comparison. These two are very similar, both in length and, oddly enough, overall profile. You can see that the lines of the handle are similar. The blade bellies are similar. And, while it's not exactly the same, I think you guys can kind of see where I'm going there with that. Obviously, the Ritter Hogue has some contouring on the scales there. And last but not least, how about up against the Spyderco Delica? Spyderco Delica coming in at 7 inches overall. Let me give you guys an example of the action. If you remember me unboxing this knife, you'll remember that the action is very, very smooth. It has a very glassy feeling smoothness to it, no friction, excellent detent, excellent action on deployment, as you can see there, and very snappy too. The detent is, it doesn't sound like, you don't get that, kind of click as much. It's there, but I feel like, when I did that the first time, I thought, oh, the detent's going to be a little light. No, the detent is not light at all. In fact, I would call it medium to medium heavy. It flips very hard and with authority in a very satisfying way. So the action is excellent on that guy. Let's go ahead and weigh it here real quick. This knife is full titanium, and you can see there that the titanium scales have actually been milled. So that's going to offer a little bit of weight reduction versus that not being the case. Overall weight is coming in at 4.09 ounces. 4.09 ounces. That's an excellent weight, in my opinion, considering the overall size of it. So that's pretty cool. So this knife was, I think, funded by a Kickstarter. They are currently, as far as I know, only available through the Tepe Designs Instagram. So you'll actually need to contact them if you want to get a hold of this. It's available in this configuration in N690 steel and titanium on bearings, and it's also available in D2 and G10. So if you're interested in getting your hands on one of these now or after I finish the review, you'll need to contact them via Instagram directly. As far as I know, that is the only way to get this knife. Taking a look at the blade, what we have here is it's kind of a multi-harpoon notch drop point blade, or multi-notch clip point blade. I'm not really sure exactly what you'd call it. Some people might call it a modified clip point or a modified harpoon clip point. I have no idea. This is what the blade looks like, though. It's very beautiful. The flat actually only carries out to about 40% the length of the blade, and then you have a swedge that is divided by one of the peaks in one of the notches here, and then the second peak actually ends the swedge, and then your final area down here is definitely more of a classic clip point, and then the blade is all belly. It feels like it gets fairly thin behind the edge. The edge does feel very, very sharp. It's very glassy. There are no nicks or rolls, or there's no toothiness there on the edge. The blade was ground professionally, and the edge was sharpened professionally. There's no doubt about that. As I mentioned before, this knife is N690 steel. N690, like M390, is made by Böhler Uddeholm. I don't know a whole lot about that steel, but from what I've found, it's much like a lot of steels in that, a lot of premium steels in that its optimal hardness range for Rockwell is between 59 and 60. I don't have a way of testing that. I'm going to assume that it has been done properly in this knife. That's really all I can say about that. For anybody who's wondering, where that kind of fits in the scale versus other super steels, it's a pretty well-rounded steel. It's got, now, people who know better can correct me in the comments section. It's a very stainless steel. But other than that, it's very similar. Now, not by composition, but by basically the end result. It's very well-rounded, much like CPM 154. Again, not the same composition, but it has, not incredible, but good toughness. Not incredible, but good edge retention. Not incredible, but good wear resistance, or I guess, is it abrasion resistance? Which one am I leaving out? Basically, its best quality of all the different qualities a steel can have is going to be corrosion resistance. It's very stainless. I want to say it's like 18% chromium or something like that with low carbon, and then everything else is kind of rounded out. It is a powder steel, so that really makes it an excellent user steel. I don't think you're going to find a lot of people saying negative things about N690, but just remember, guys, my comprehension and knowledge on metallurgy and just steel in general, even in use, is pretty limited, so this is all pretty generic information. It is a new steel for my channel, though. While it's not the first time I've handled it, it's the first time I've attempted to describe it, so that's kind of why I'm generalizing there. You can see we have a nice large deployment hole up here. The hole is perfect for doing the reverse flick. Absolutely easy to do that. You can maneuver your way around a generic thumb flick, though it is a little bit difficult because you have to come out this way to break the detent and avoid this part of the scale. I think most people are just going to opt for the obvious flipper tab, which works perfectly, or the reverse flick if they're able to do that. This is a good knife to teach yourself on. It really is friendly on the reverse flick and gives it that nice satisfying fidget factor that so many of us have come to love in our pocket knives. Moving down to the scales, we do have 6AL4V titanium scales that have been bead blasted. It looks really nice. You have a very simple but very nice looking flat Torx head pivot for the show side, for adjustment on the show side. The scales are very plain but have some nice satisfying millwork here, these little holes. I don't always like that, but I kind of, it's like if they didn't do it, then this would be very, very generic and honestly would remind me a lot of a ferrum forged knife. So I'm glad that they did it. It gives it a slightly unique look while still keeping it simple and not really adding anything that bothers people. Sometimes holes can be a gunk trap. This knife looks like it'd be pretty easy to clean out or blow out, so I don't think that's really going to be an issue. Moving down to the screws here, we do have some nice larger Torx head screws. They are a little bit bigger than the little tiny size that I don't like. There's only 2 of them. They do hold in a nice titanium flush backspacer that looks very, very nice. Covers about, 25% the body. You have a lanyard bar that's actually been sort of integrated into the backspacer. I always like that. That's really nice. Moving over to the other side, it's pretty much the same as the front, except for this side has the frame lock. You have a really nice, it's skinny, but it's a nice little pocket clip that carries pretty deep, honestly. I put it in my pocket and it sinks all the way down to here, so it covers up most of the knife. It has that awesome ceramic ball bearing, which I love. You see that a lot on bag knives. It's really smooth in and out of the pocket. That's a really good thing to have. It's just an easy experience going in and coming out. It's one of those knives you can get into your pocket with one hand and pull out one-handed. Sometimes pocket clip designs allow it to come out easily but not go in easily, so you have to do that weird finicky thing where you use your left hand to pull your pocket out and then you have to jam the knife in there, and then when it comes time to use it, it's easy to pull out, but then you're like, I gotta mess with this to get it back in there. Not with this knife. This is easy going in and easy going out. Really like that pocket clip there. The female side of the pivot, or the non-show side of the pivot, it also has an adjustment. I don't know what this knife looks like on the inside. It might be one of those where you have to have one Torx head on this side and one on the other and sort of turn in opposite directions to get it apart. Not really that big of a deal. It does have the steel lock bar insert and over travel stop. This knife is locking up at about 25 to 30%, and it is perfectly centered. There is no blade play up, down, left, or right. It's nice and solid, so that's really nice to see that that's the case. Really, all the way around, much like a lot of the stuff that I review on this channel, fit and finish looks really good. Every now and then I say this, you know, we're kind of at the point where when I handle a knife that's anywhere from 50 bucks to $2,500, fit and finish is excellent is something that I kind of expect to say. It's almost to the point where I don't really need to say it anymore. I think a lot of you collectors and enthusiasts kind of understand what I'm saying. 5 years ago, it was like, yay, you know, look at this thing. This thing is really put together well for the money. But really now, when we have knives that are like the fit and finish is perfect at 50 bucks, everybody should have their fit and finish game together. This knife does, but you know, and I still feel obligated to say it just so people know, like, yeah, it's put together well. But I kind of expect that now. I'm really disappointed when I handle a knife over $50 that's not put together well, because it really should be. Anyways, just so you guys know, these knives are Tepe knives. Is you know, they're manufactured in China, but it looks like you know, they must have really good quality control, a lot like the other Chinese companies making excellent knives right now. So that's really, really good to see. This does have a little bit of a blocky design, and honestly, it looks like it might be uncomfortable. It's definitely not uncomfortable, and the edges are definitely not sharp anywhere, but I mean, if I was going to give it a critique, I would say maybe a little bit more rounding on some of these edges up here might have been nice. It's not uncomfortable to disengage it. It's very nice and smooth there. It's not uncomfortable to flip it, but you do have a little bit of pokiness on that. I mean, these are nitpicks. These are little tiny nitpicks, and I could imagine somebody looking at this and going, wow, that kind of looks like a blocky design. Is it uncomfortable? No, it's not uncomfortable. And it's not sharp. I don't want to call it sharp in some places. I'd say it's a tad pokey in some places, but that's it. You'd have to be the type of person who's going to be using this all day, every day, to even vaguely notice that there are some areas of this knife that are a little bit pokey. As far as the pocket clip goes, I can feel it that it's there, but I wouldn't call it a hot spot. I don't have an issue with that at all. What I really like is that there is no double clutch, meaning where the flipper tab meets your thumb on the disengagement, it's well past the detent ball. So people who like to do this, you absolutely can do that. It's not like the 0562 where you have to kick it here and then keep pressure on it so that you push that detent ball just a little bit over there and then you're able to push it down. No, you're perfectly safe right here. You can let it free fall or kick it back out. I mean, you can do this all day, no issues whatsoever. And there's a nice landing zone back here. It's not frustrating for your finger. By the way, there's just enough room on this knife to get my hand all the way around it. You can see here, despite it not being the biggest knife in the world, my medium large size hands can get all the way around this comfortably. There is a nice thumb ramp up here with meaningful jimping. The jimping is really nice on this. Honestly, I really like it. And then also for people who kind of want to bear down on this knife, you technically do have multiple positions. You could do it up here, but this is very comfortable right here if you're really going to bear down on it. Or maybe, I don't know, do some whittling or some wood carving or something like that with a knife like this. Really, really comfortable. Really, I mean, anything that I could say about this knife would be nitpicks. If I was going to change anything, for me, it would be little aesthetic things because I'm super boring. I prefer, if there's going to be anything on the handle, I always prefer texturing. I'm not a big fan of holes, but that's not necessarily an issue with this knife. It actually helps reduce weight in this case a little bit, so that's not an issue. And then I guess, you know, a few of these areas, if they were just a little bit more rounded down, it'd be really, really nice. Other than that, though, I mean, I don't have a problem. In fact, I'm going to say the best thing about this knife is the price. I asked Harry, I was like, so what does this go for? And this is what I thought. It's a drop knife, it's titanium, it's N690. N690 is still considered a premium steel. I'm going to guess this knife is about 190 bucks. To my surprise, Harry told me that it was $160. $160 for a premium frame lock with, you know, a good design and just really good fit and finish all the way around and really good function is honestly, it's a steal in today's world. You know, really the only other knives that I can think of, and I mean that I can think of, I'm sure there are other ones, but the knives that come to mind that you know, are competing with this knife just in terms of price and for what they are right now are some of Kaiser's knives that are titanium frame locks. Most titanium frame locks that you're going to see nowadays, whether they're USA production or Chinese production, are going to range anywhere from $180 to about $280. This being at $160 is one of the better deals out there, honestly. At the time of this recording, there are a few of these left, according to Harry, and who got the information straight from Tepe Knives, or I know that I'm messing that up. He got that information from them on Instagram. So if you are interested in this titanium variant, I suggest you contact them and see if you can get your hands on one. Hopefully, more of these will be available in the future. If it's one bad thing that I can honestly say about these is that these aren't apparently readily available, or aren't going to be readily available, right now. Maybe in the future, but hopefully that's something that that comes about. But anyways, that's truthfully just about all I can say. Thank you again, Harry, for donating this knife to the channel. I'm really enjoying it, and it's something that truthfully brings me a lot of joy, and it's nice to be able to give an honest, positive review about it. So anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like. So check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, then please subscribe to my channel, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.